Okay, so welcome. I'm Shannon Eustace, and this is Making Ethical Decisions for Fall 2023. And I want to thank everybody for being here this afternoon. I know we all have crazy schedules, and I know a few of you guys have emailed me about multiple things going on. I expect our time together to honestly be about an hour, maybe even a little less. My goal for tonight is to give you a little bit of background information uh, as to how this course came about, and then share with you our goals, the ever so important portfolio requirements for PDE 3, and as well as a little bit of history and some of your options that will be here. So again, if you're just joining us, our meeting is being recorded just in case you have to step away or you need some clarification later on. So the Model Code of Ethics for Educators, the MCEE, is what our course is based upon. You guys will get to know this document very well. Most of our class uses this document. It is the ethics code for educators. What's really fascinating is that this just was adopted by NASDAQ, which is National Association for State Directors of Teacher Education and Certification. The Model Code of Ethics for Educators only came around in 2015. And if we think about that, if we think of some other careers that have code of ethics, what are some other careers out there that have ethics codes? You can just unmute yourself. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Physicians.
Physicians.
Social workers and police officers.
Social workers, police officers.
Therapists.
Therapists.
Lawyers.
Lawyers. Lawyers have a code of ethics they are expected to follow as well. So what I find really interesting is for the Medical Association, their code of ethics was established in 1847. Teachers, 2015. Ours isn't even a decade old yet. So I think that's pretty interesting. Yet we are one of the most vulnerable careers out there, right? There's a lot of gray areas. So how this course came about is in 2018, Hawaii Teacher Standards Board adopted the Model Code of Ethics for Educators and formed a task force. So as of right now, do we have any teachers within their first couple of years teaching with us? You can just use your emoji icon or your hands up. Okay, great. So those, excuse me, just got a note. So for those teachers, this course is actually required as part of your licensing now. So what happened back in 2018 as HTSB adopted this is they formed a task force. And from that task force, they sent it out to a bunch of different teachers. I've been really fascinated with this topic for a long time. It's actually one that I've struggled with. I've struggled with having some of those conversations with some of my coworkers. So I was really interested. I've been on board for the last 6 years with this. And from there, we developed the course. This is our second course, actually, we've run. So our first course was very similar to this. But what's happened since is NEA came along, and NEA has created the micro-credentials. If any of you are familiar with the micro-credentials, those micro-credentials are work to be done on your own. There's no support typically with a micro-credential. And you go through, you do your work, you submit it to NEA, they review it and return it back to you, and you make edits if needed. So we designed a course to support the NEA microcredential. And if you're interested in doing the NEA microcredential, our next session will be to help you support, to help get you into that. But right now, this course is just about working through those microcredentials without necessarily submitting them. That's an option for you if you want. Okay, wrong way. Excuse me 1 second. I have to, my laptop is saying that there's some battery issues. All right, my apologies. Okay, so your course expectations. We would like you to attend and participate in the live sessions. We'd like you to complete all the coursework in the Google Classroom. Important course dates. Today, October 17th, it's our live session. It's our first start date and our live session. November 7th, will also be a live session. It'll be a check-in. So if you have questions on some of the assignments or what's going on, need help navigating stuff, there is that session for you. We will also walk through how to set up your how to enroll for the micro-credential and which micro-credential this course exactly supports. December 12th, it's an optional check-in and support meeting. December 19th, all work. Anything on the Google Classroom is due to your instructor, so you've hit the turned in button on Google Classroom. Then over Christmas break, I will be grading everything. And January 15th, I think it's 3, might be 4. We might be right at that 4th mark because we have 30 people. So on January 15th, I will submit everybody who's successfully completed all the Google Classroom work to PDE3, and then we will generate 3 or 4 names. For every 10 people, it's 1 portfolio. And they're randomly selected based upon the completers. And from there, February 12th will be our end of course date when our credits should be posting. Okay. Questions about any of our dates? And we'll kind of play with the December. We'll do some emailing back and forth between everybody, because that's getting really close to the end of the semester. So we might even, if there's not a need for us to meet, we can even maybe postpone or cancel that one. Okay. All right. How this course is broken down is there's 5 sections. Those 5 sections, you have a section of resources. Then you have module 1. There's a lot of work in module 1. Module 1 is beginning to explore and understand the difference between our model code of ethics for educators, our DOE policies, and a couple other documents. We have our section 2, which is understanding. That's kind of bringing everything together, starting to get a deeper understanding of what we're covering. Module 3, excuse me, is our application model. That's where we are going to be reviewing different scenarios and talking about them, coming up with different action plans. You're also going to be developing and expanding on a personal dilemma you have faced. You're going to be identifying all the stakeholders in that dilemma. All these things that I'm describing or I'm talking about will be outlined, and we're going to build to all of these things. And module 4 is our shortest module with our reflection component. So what I need from you guys in terms of your portfolio requirements is I would like you to complete the cover page and the agreement. I would like you to give meaningful comments. I'd like you to comment on your peers' posts. I would like your reflections to have depth. And where it's available and that option is given, you can do a video recording instead of the written component. Okay. And it guides you along to tell you that your video should be 3 to 5 minutes and what things you should discuss in your video. Some important things about the portfolio. Would somebody like to read the first bullet for me, please?
The captions are written for you.
Perfect. Thank you. Wait, can you say that again, please?
The captions are written for you.
Okay. How many of you guys you've done portfolios before? Yes. Right? Okay. So you will find that all of your captions are done for you. We have 17 entries. So we are not writing, you guys do not have to write 17 captions. When we created this course, that was one of the things we worked very hard to make sure was included, that we provided, that the captions we provide would be sufficient, and they are. So yes. The other next one, I think I just said it, 17 entry. You're welcome, Laura. 17 entries are required. So out of all the things that you're going to do in that Google Classroom, I honestly want to say there's probably about 25 things. 17 of them will end up in your portfolio. Next bullet, would somebody please read the bullet number 3 under important portfolio notes?
No student work samples.
Thank you, Prudence. So this portfolio, thank you. You guys are making me feel great. Great. So there are no lessons to be written for this, and there are no work samples required. This course, the goal of this course is for you guys to start having those conversations. One of our main goals is for you to walk away feeling comfortable, being able to talk about a difficult topic with your peers. Okay. And the last one, I don't know, this may be the best, but the captions is pretty good. So would somebody please read the last bullet for us?
Instructor will build selected portfolios.
What that means is after you go complete your cover page and your agreement, you don't do anything else to that portfolio document. Okay. If your name is selected, Vicki, what is NCT? Oh, a non-classroom. Oh, you're welcome. Got it. Yeah. Oh, no problem. Yeah. So as the portfolios are selected, I will then go take the 17 entries that I've already have designated, and I will put them into your portfolio document. You don't have to do that. We started doing this in one of the other courses I teach, and it just makes such a difference. Your focus for this course is to understand the content, reflect on that content, have meaningful conversations, have meaningful reflections, and let your practice and your grow from that. Okay. So we've tried to take some of the nitty gritty and the housekeeping stuff out of it. And just make it be about about you and how you're impacted by this. Okay. I keep going back. I'm sorry. Well, so I do have one requirement for you guys tonight. I'm going to switch my screen, and I'll put this also in the chat box. I would like everybody to go to the Google Classroom. And I would like you to click on classwork. Actually, you can ignore that link I just put in. I'll give you a more direct link. And this first section is resources. So you're going to go through all of these things, each of these posts in here. So here's where tonight's slides are. And after watching, after we finish up here, I'll post the video, and the video will also be in this section right here under session 1 materials. The micro-credential, this is if you are going to complete the micro-credential component. After doing this course, you should submit your work for the micro-credential. It doesn't get you, it doesn't work for credit for PDE3. That's what this class is designed to do. I need you to click on the portfolio. Yay, somebody's already turned it in. I'm going to put this link in the chat box here. I need you to click on your portfolio. Once you've got that portfolio opened, you are going to fill in this first page. This first page, I would like your name. I would like your DOE email. That's the one we have to use. And then the school you teach at. After that, you'll slide down and you'll read these documents. And you should be able to like check this and it'll make a click, or you can put an X on it, but read those. Once you agree to those, you will come and click on this drawing box. Open up your drawing box, click edit, and you can sign your name. Okay. Then you will go up to the very top and I think somewhere right up top here, it'll say turn in. So I'd like you to turn that in. And I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do that right now. Sorry, I was saying while you guys get that turned in, I'm going to try and finish up this attendance. Julie Lopez.
Yes.
Are you JL on your Google Classroom from your Gmail?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks for confirming that. Avenue, you can just type it too. So once you're in here, so you click edit, and it should pop up a drawing screen for you. And if you are running into issues, you might just be able to type in there. Is anybody else having? Okay, so just do me, you can do this also. You can do an insert text, a drawing. Just click new. Just put your name in there. Select scribble. So you'll go up here next to the text box, select scribble. And then you can sign your name that way. Or you can, sorry, that's really messy. Or you can just insert a text box and type your name as a text. Either way. Let me get rid of
It's not allowing me to put it in the box.
That's
Like, it's
okay.
it's
Just
underneath
anywhere.
it. Okay.
Perfect. If it gets kicked back for that, we will figure out a way to fix it. But I've never had it kicked back for that reason. Okay. I think I saw Susan here. Yes. Sonia was here. Kelsey. Amanda. Okay, go. Echo. Okay, yeah. Marcy's here. Shelly. John. I think I saw John. Yep. Joy. I think Joy's here. Julia. No, Julia. Okay, don't see Julia. My own Lonnie's here. Okay. Okay, sweet. All right. Okay, you guys are almost halfway there. Anybody else running into trouble with signing their document? Marcy, what's not working for you?
Okay, so I'm clicking on it. So what was the workaround? Sorry.
That's
What
okay.
was what was the workaround that to draw on it?
Oh, so you can open up, let me open it back up again. Let me share. So go up to insert and you can click on drawing. So once you click insert, you can say drawing and then just click new.
Shucks, mine is grayed out. I don't know why.
The drawing is?
Yeah.
Okay. So close that. When you get there, you can just, so you'll see that you can type below it. If you double click below the box, just type your name there. Oh, it's okay, Sonia. Sonia, just if you want, I'm fine with you. Just if you click on it, instead of clicking on the box, just click below and you can type it. And that's fine too. There you go. Yes, whatever works. That works too, Sonia. Thank you. Yeah, so just go ahead and click turn that in and we should be good to go. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so while this course is completely self-paced, and the only due date I have is the December, what was it, 19th as our important dates. I encourage you to pace yourself. There is a lot of content here. Be sure to turn stuff in along as you go. One of the things you don't want to happen is everything's due December 19th and you haven't even gotten through module 1 yet. Pace yourself, work on it. The reflection pieces are small because there's so many of them. And you should be able to try and do one like every other day, maybe one a couple in one day, in one sitting, but pace yourself. Reach out to me if you need support. Use my Shannon at Eustace PD, the one that I've been at the bottom of all the emails I've been sending you. I'll actually type that in the chat box for you as well right now. The best way to get a hold of me is at this email. Okay. So when you get back into the Google Classroom, I wouldn't follow the stuff in the stream. The stream can be very overwhelming and it kind of puts in a lot of material at once. So right now, all I have left is, all I have released to you guys is your resources. So when you're starting with this, start with your resource. Go through each of those documents, review them. There's not going to be anything for you to do in this document, okay, except to review. No writing on this one. But all your policies are here. The course syllabus is here. The expectations for reflections are here. So this will walk you through how to write a nice reflection. Once you've gone through and done that, start in module 1. This will give you an overview of module 1. When I wrote this and put these things in here, the part in the Google Classroom pretty much mirrors the stuff in your Google Documents, okay? So go through each of these and you'll see here that this is when there's a question that you're expected to respond to that. So this will be probably one of the good spots to start at after you've gone through resources. Go through, review the links here, and then answer your questions. Be certain that you follow the prompts very closely, because there are quite a few prompts where I'm just asking you to post something. I'm asking you, like this one, there is not an attachment to this. There's surveys and there's links attached, but there's not an attached document. So what you guys are expected to do for this one is comment. So you have to make a post on this. You tell me, you watch the video, you complete the survey, and then in the comments, you tell me, the comments right to this link, you tell me, what do you value? How do your values compare to some norms you found in your school community? What might it be like to have personal values that conflict with the popular values held in your school community? And then how do you eliminate some of these? How did you eliminate? How did you go through and sort through the card sort? After that, I'd like you to respond to at least one classmate's response or posting, okay? So a lot of it is like stuff like that too. So you're gonna be working directly in the Google Classroom, talking to each other. And then you will have some opportunities for videos or written reflections, okay? So go through these. Next week, I will release module 2, and then I will release module 3 and then module 4. Okay, so that it's paced out and there's just not a whole dump of material at once for everything. So I've done a lot of talking. What questions do you guys have for me? Maybe not really any yet, because you're like, I need to get in there. I'm a hands-on type person. I got to get in and figure this out and navigate it, which is totally fine. So email me if you have questions about how to find things or the course expectations. And we'll work through it. Definitely on November 7th, I think it is. Forgetting all my dates. I'm so sorry. On November 7th, we'll have a Q&A if you guys need help with anything. We'll also review how to do the micro credential. So like I said, the majority of this class is based upon being able to have those conversations with each other, the difficult conversations. And sometimes we don't even know, like, we're really facing an ethical dilemma. Does anybody want to share any ethical dilemmas they faced so far?
So this one kind of just popped as an interesting scenario that me and my team are in. Hi, everybody. My name is Avenue. I'm currently working with the state distance learning program, and we have been supporting the displaced students from Maui, Lahaina. One of the things that we were discussing is the DOE policy of which students can we give grades to. Our program is pretty closely following the DOE policy of students have to have had 20 days of attendance in order for them to be able to receive a letter grade of A to F. And a large part of us following that policy pretty closely is so that as teachers, our grading policy is pretty uniform across our teaching teams. And if there's any questions that parents have, any blowback from students, we're kind of like covered by our policy. And that's, of course, to kind of protect us. But in our conversations as individual teachers, a lot of us were like, but some of the students, they deserve, they've worked hard, they deserve a letter grade. We feel that as individual teachers, we feel that they have shown up and they have provided enough evidence to give a grade. But the systemic program-wide and DOE policy-wide was if they haven't had enough days in class, we have to give them a grade of N, a no grade instead of a letter grade. So the ethical decisions, choices to be made are, do we follow that program policy, the DOE policy, or our own individual professional discretion? And generally our consensus was follow the DOE policy, follow the program policy. It comes from higher up. There's, group protection when we kind of like have that uniform policy. But that's kind of like the decisions that we have to make and the conversations that we're having.
Wow. I guess I didn't even realize that there was a minimum 20-day requirement for to give a grade. That's interesting. Would anybody like to comment on it?
I think that 20-day is pretty standard because even in special ed, we can't progress anybody unless they've attended for 20 days.
Okay. So it's 20 days in your school?
20 days of being in class.
Any school?
No, it would have to be our school. Unless you've got, I'm just thinking like if IEP stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If they were 20, go ahead.
No, please, Susan, continue.
No, I'm just thinking if they were, they had been over 20 days in a previous school before they come, the previous school should be able to give us a progress something before they give it to us. But I think, like I said, I think the 20 days is pretty standard for grading in general.
Interesting. Avenue, can you clarify, is it 20 days at at your school or at any DOE school?
So I believe what Susan said about like transfer grades, if there are transfer grades from a previous school, oftentimes all we have to do is, well, the previous teacher who has been with the student for more than 20 days has already said this student at the point that they transferred off would deserve like a D or whatever. So the transfer grades will, we'd also count them. But because of the situation we're in, where a lot of the students never got the chance to go to school and then they had delays getting into our program, a lot of them didn't have 20 days. So in our particular case, we're just kind of like counting the number of days that students have been in our program and have actually been able to show up.
So what's the long-term consequence of no grade for a student?
No grades are kind of like they get off the hook, is how I would describe it. It delays giving them an actual letter grade, and the end grade does not calculate into the end course grade. So if a student gets an end grade for quarter one, usually I believe most teachers will just not calculate quarter one into the overall grade and just calculates quarters 2, 3, and 4.
Okay. Interesting. Anybody else like to share anything? So you guys decided to follow the BOE policy? Or are you still kind of going back and forth? It's tough.
So for the most part, it was our director who decided that we're going to mostly follow the DOE policy, and I actually agree with him. We have to stay safe, and what we really don't want to face is a bunch of different teachers having their own grading policy at this point in such a tumultuous situation and such a sensitive situation like we have with the fire in Lahaina. So I agree. It's best to stay safe, and I believe that the end grade, one of the ways that students and parents might respond is that people in general don't like things they don't understand, and a lot of them might have never seen an end grade before. So it might seem like a bad thing, but really, I believe that an end grade is very much like we're kind of letting them off the hook. For a lot of them, it's more of a get out of jail card, get out of jail free card. So if we do get kind of pushed back with the end and we kind of explain it, it's kind of like it's not going to negatively impact their grade. I don't think we're going to get in any trouble. So I kind of agree with my director's decision.
Wow, that could just open up a whole can of worms. Like you said, with the inconsistency in grading. I personally don't like grades. I think, especially as we've gone to standards-based grading, so they meet the standard at this point, but then they don't meet the standard. I mean, there's so many, and yeah. So how about some other ethical dilemmas?
I'll go. I don't know why my phone is sideways. I'm trying to put myself. It's funny because I teach at Lahaina Luna, and we were literally just discussing grades from the kids that are returning from the distance learning program to our campus. So I'm just laughing over here. When I first started teaching about 11 years ago, I had a co-teacher, and they taught the content wrong in my classroom. And I would watch and have to interrupt. And this person had, 20 years of experience. And so it's was trying to navigate working with a colleague who was harming kids, I guess, in their education, as well as then making it a personal conflict with me. And that was a very difficult situation to navigate, especially as a new educator, not really knowing my school or my administrator or what to do. So that was a big one in my career.
What would everybody say? How should Victoria handle this? What advice could we give the Victoria 10 years ago?
Victoria, I don't have any advice. I mean, but I just want to say that was really brave. If I was a new teacher and I saw a 20-year teacher, co-teacher, which is really, I think the word intimate might be appropriate, right? It's really close if they're your co-teacher, and they have 20 years of experience, I wouldn't have said anything. Even if they're like, teaching stuff it's just, as long as it's just a little bit erroneous, I would have just said nothing and just let it go.
It's tough because you see, especially with so many of these subjects, they build on each other, right? And it's like, if you see a misconception being taught, how do you fix it? How do you save face? How do you keep respect? So, anybody else have anything to add?
I will share. Hi, this is Laura. So I taught at a school here in Hawaii, and I'm not going to name the school. I taught seniors, and more than once I was pressured to pass a senior so they could graduate. And the senior, as far as I mean, and I was not a teacher that made things impossible. Like, I really worked with the students to get them to where they needed to be. And I think this happened with a sophomore and with a senior. It was the only time it ever happened. But I was very conflicted and I felt very pressured because mine was the only class. And it had never happened to me before, and it's never happened to me after. But yes, so that was an ethical dilemma. So, yep.
Yeah.
It
reminds me of COVID, when we were dealing with COVID. I was just thinking, I never even told you guys about myself. I've been teaching on Maui since 2001. I taught at high school for about 15 years. And recently, for the last 5 years, 6 years, I've been at middle school science. And I was at middle school during COVID, and it was made clear that we should make sure that our kiddos are successful, whatever that looked like, and take into consideration everything that was going on, including not meeting the standards. So yeah, it's tough. We face all of these things, and now, within our classrooms now, 2 years later, we're going, okay, for sixth grade, what were those third, fourth grade concepts that these kids were supposed to be learning on their own? And how is this coming into play within my classroom now? So it just feels like it's Laura, I'm glad you only experienced that once. I've actually experienced that multiple times. I've had a teacher come up to me because the child wasn't graduating, and laid into me, just straight up laid into me because I would not pass that child. I've since seen that student, and the student, from what I can tell with their interaction with me on multiple occasions, has not held a grudge. And it wasn't we don't do this stuff we don't do it to be vindictive or to make a point.
No,
we're trying to,
no.
yeah.
It was very disturbing. And then the counselor asked me again to pass a sophomore, and I just said no. I said the student can take summer school. I don't know. It was just that pressure. That's why I never taught seniors again. I was like, I don't want to be in that position ever again.
It's understandable. It's absolutely understandable. Okay, well, let's lighten it up a little bit. And the last thing I have for you guys does require participation. And that participation can either be with your video and your mic on, and you can say, do something or let it go. Those are our two options. So I'm going to give you a couple different situations, and you're going to say, do something or let it go. Now, if you don't want to turn your mic or your video on, that's fine too. There are emojis, which many of you guys, your reactions, you can do thumbs up, you can do thumbs down. You can say, I'm thinking about it. But let's kind of stick it. It'll be about in a week, Erin. We'll release the next module in about a week.
So thumbs up is let it go, or thumbs up is do
No,
something?
thumbs up is say something. Thumbs down is let it go.
Okay.
Okay. So thumbs up is say something. Thumbs down is let it go. So a colleague actively communicates with a student on Instagram. What would you guys do? Okay.
Do we know anything about the communication?
Ah, interesting. Interesting. That's all we know, is that they're actively communicating. The less we know, the better. Huh, why is that? Now, that's really interesting, Evan, you say that. The less we know, the better, because there's something out there that you guys are going to start reviewing that says the more we care, the closer we are to that ethical line, right? So we've got black, white, we've got it's right, it's wrong. We can make those decisions. But the more we put ourselves out there, the more we try and create special situations, the more we try to do more for the students, the more we care is what it comes down to, the closer we are to crossing, the blurrier that ethical line becomes. Okay, next situation. Colleague is giving personal advice on non-school related topics. Okay. Okay, I see most of you guys are saying just stay in my lane. It's not my business. Next one. Colleague, this is something that happens all the time in Hawaii, all the time. A colleague attends a graduation party for a student. Okay. Let it go. That same colleague is very intoxicated at the graduation party.
Hey,
Yeah, Amy.
I guess I was wondering, are we at that party too? And our friend is intoxicated, our colleague is intoxicated?
Oh,
Should we get them out of there?
good question. Well, then it sounds like you're going to probably, you know which direction you're going then.
I guess so. I don't know.
That's kind of like every situation means something different for everybody, right? You can just tweak one little thing and then maybe it's not for the best, or maybe it's okay, I can let that go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would want someone to rescue me if I did something that was somewhat like a little out there, just, I would want someone to say, hey, Aim, maybe can I talk to you on the side? No, I wouldn't feel like it was an overwhelming obligation, just like a courtesy, but.
Yeah. Yeah, and we haven't now, mind you, we've just are talking binary. You do something or you let it go, right? Because and there is a whole slew of things in between. Maybe we subtly say something. Maybe we, whatever. There's all different avenues we could take. I'm just asking you guys to just pick black or white. That's all for this one. But that's the beauty of ethics is there's room for interpretation when you just tweak a little bit of the information.
And then the question to me is, are we saying something to that colleague? Are we saying something to the host of the party? And is it an issue of driving while intoxicated as the person goes to leave?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yes, Laura, I agree. Those are excellent questions, Amy. There's so many. What ifs? What this? How do I handle this? Do I do this? Lots of room.
Yeah. Thank you, Avenue. I agree that we do need kind of a little bit of a buddy system every once in a while.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, a colleague participates in a protest. Okay. What if that protest is against, maybe, what if that protest is against your beliefs or the beliefs of the school? So it's interesting. I'm seeing most of you guys are still saying stay out of it, but I do see when we do a little more detail that you're saying, well, maybe it's time to do something.
It makes me think about, sorry, makes me
No.
think about a time when I had a coworker who would openly talk about being anti-vax with parents when the DOE's policy is it's you vaccinate your kids. So I think then you gotta just if you don't believe it, but this is your job, you just gotta keep your mouth shut. That's just my own anyway. So I guess it just depends on what it is they're protesting. If they're pro-Nazis, I mean, you might want to say something, but anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like, yeah, the more we know, do we say, that doesn't, but then I like the point you made, if it's DOE policy, but then somebody also said something about separation of personal life.
If you're in your role as a teacher and you're in the classroom, you shouldn't be talking with parents in the classroom, shouldn't be talking about anti-vax. So like it would be different if the teacher was off on their own and like at HSTA, we could say, you're speaking as an individual, you're not representing, then that makes sense. But I think if you're in your role as a DOE employee, then you've got to be that employee.
Okay, I didn't type this one, but this is going to be our last one because I promised some people that this would not go past 5 o'clock. I said we would be under an hour, but this is great. I love the conversation. Okay, and this legitimately happened. So thinking about what we've just talked about, a coworker has a is it fans only? Has a fans only page.
It's OnlyFans. It's only.
Thank you. Whatever. I'm old. It's only okay. Has an OnlyFans page. Thank you. I did ask if I was correct. Okay, so it has an OnlyFans page. Do you do something or do you let it go? Does it
Depends on what
matter?
the OnlyFans is. I
Ah,
mean, there's a whole range of things that you could put on there.
who would like to explain what OnlyFans is?
So
Okay,
if
fine.
there's
Okay, go ahead,
explicit-
Avenue.
if there's explicit content on the OnlyFans, on this colleague's OnlyFans site, and I'm not going to check it out, so I wouldn't know. But if there's explicit content on this on this person's site, I think there's a good chance it's accessible by students as well. I don't know what kind of security measures they have to prevent students from accessing OnlyFans if they have access to a credit card. So I think it's a very difficult situation there, because I think that content might be pretty easily accessible by anyone if they have access to a credit card.
So for those of you guys, OnlyFans has, it has explicit content on it. That you subscribe to it or something? Yeah. Okay. So you've got all these different situations. We face all these decisions. I think Charlotte Danielson was the one who kind of coined this or first started this phrase. How many decisions do we make a day as educators? Does anybody remember or know what it is? 10,000, not quite that many, but sometimes it does feel like it. I think it's around 2,000 to 3,000 a day. And by the end of that day, we've got decision-making fatigue, right? So sometimes we let our guard slip a little bit, and some of our own ethical things that we would do something that we wouldn't let ourselves do. We find ourselves saying like, well, it'll be okay. So, but it's 5 o'clock. I want to wrap this up. I can appreciate that. Yes. That you're great. The longer it takes to grade, the looser your grading gets. Yes. So please pace yourself as you're going through the material. I will release module 2 next week. Make sure your reflections have depth to them. Reach out to me if you need support at all, and have fun with it. Comment on each other's. Keep the conversations going. I love that you guys are doing all this talking right now. This is wonderful. Keep the conversations going in the Google Classroom too. Okay. All right. So if there's no other questions, you guys have a wonderful rest of your couple of weeks, and take care, and let me know how I can support you.
Thank you.
Bye,
you, everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shannon, I have a quick question. This is Sonia
Sure.
Peralta. So we will have access to everybody's responses. Is that in the Google Classroom?
Yes. So there